It's not going to happen under President Trump. It's just not going to happen. After all of the abuses they've perpetrated, China's attempting to impose additional unjustified tariffs.
China firmly opposes and never accepts such hegemonic and bullying acts.
But just so you understand, they all got rich because of tariffs. Now when we do it, it's so terrible what Trump is doing. It's so terrible. They got rich.
What happens when the two largest economies in the world, locked in a billion-dollar embrace, decide to go to war? Not a military one, but a war of tariffs, taxes, and economic arm twisting. Donald Trump has just pulled the trigger. Starting April 9th, all Chinese goods entering the U.S. could be slapped with a staggering 104% tariff. That's not just a penalty, that's an economic death sentence for Chinese exports.
Right now, China's paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping.
But here's the catch. In a world that's globalized, when one giant bleeds, the other doesn't walk away unscathed. So the question is, who's going to blink first? Trump's America or Xi's China? The numbers don't lie. In 2024, the U.S. imported $438.9 billion worth of goods from China. In return, China bought just $143.5 billion from America. That left Washington with a trade deficit of nearly $295 billion, and Trump has had enough. February 4th, 2025. A 10% baseline tariff was imposed on all Chinese imports. March 4th, 2025. The tariff was increased to 20%. April 2nd, 2025. An additional 34% reciprocal tariff was applied, bringing the total tariff to 54%. April 9, 2025, an additional 50% tariff was imposed, resulting in a cumulative tariff rate of 104% on Chinese imports. If this holds, it's not just a tariff wall, it's a trade embargo in disguise.
China has to make a deal with the United States. It was a mistake for China to retaliate. The president, when America is punched, he punches back harder. That's why there will be 104% tariffs going into effect on China tonight at midnight. But the president believes that Xi and China want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get that started. And the president also wanted me to tell all of you that if China reaches out to make a deal, he'll be incredibly gracious, but he's going to do what's best for the American people.
But Xi Jinping isn't blinking either. Beijing has vowed to fight to the end, slapping back tariffs of its own, tightening access for American companies, and fueling nationalist sentiment. Initially, China announced reciprocal 34% tariffs on all imports from the United States starting April 10th. But in a dramatic escalation, Beijing's finance ministry has now declared it will impose a staggering 84% tariff on U.S. goods, up from the previously announced 34%. A clear message: China is not just retaliating, it's ready for economic war.
Resorting to pressure, threats and blackmail is not the right way to engage with China. China will take all necessary countermeasures to resolutely safeguard its legitimate and lawful rights and interests.
维护自身正当合法权益。我想美方的
The actions of the US side have not demonstrated any genuine willingness for serious dialogue. If the US truly wishes to engage in talks, it should adopt an attitude of equality, mutual respect and reciprocity. If it persists in disregarding the common interests of both countries and the international community and insists on escalating the trade and tariff conflict, China will, as always, fight to the end.
必将奉陪到底。
This isn't just about America and China. This is about everyone else caught in the crossfire. A full-scale trade war between the world's two biggest economies could send shockwaves through already fragile global markets. Inflation in the U.S. is guaranteed to rise. Supply chains, still healing post-COVID, could be shattered once again. And if China decides to start dumping goods into Europe or India to offset its U.S. losses, we're looking at a bifurcated world economy, split into two camps, two systems, and two clashing ideologies. The age of globalization could officially be over. So who has more leverage? On paper, it's the US. America imports more from China than it exports. And with Chinese domestic consumption still weak, Beijing needs the American market more than the other way around. But dig deeper, Trump is up for re-election. Xi isn't. Trump has to face angry voters feeling the heat of rising prices. Xi has no elections, no opposition, and a $1.5 trillion stimulus package to keep China's economy breathing. China can play the long game. Trump, not so much. And let's not forget, many of the products America imports from China are irreplaceable in the short term. From rare earth elements for military tech to pharmaceutical ingredients, you can't simply buy American overnight. So what happens when the shelves go empty and prices hit the sky? Pressure builds. Not on Xi, but on Trump. This isn't Trump's first tariff rodeo. He did it in 2018 too. And what did studies from Harvard, MIT, and the World Bank find? Tariffs didn't help American jobs. Steel workers didn't see a boom. Farmers suffered under China's retaliatory tariffs. And in the end, Trump had to bail them out with subsidies, funded by the very tariffs meant to punish China. So the question remains, why are we doing this again? China, meanwhile, is preparing. If the US closes the door, China looks elsewhere. India, Southeast Asia, Africa, the European Union. And in a world where American reliability is increasingly questioned, who's to say those countries won't start tilting toward Beijing? Trump might think he's isolating China, but what if he's isolating America instead? This tariff war isn't just about economics. It's about ego, power, and the future of global dominance. Xi can afford to wait, but Trump, he needs to win, and win fast before prices climb and voters turn. So again, we ask, who's going to blink first? The autocrat with no elections to face? Or the populist with a country growing restless? And more importantly, can the world afford the fallout if neither of them does? Because in a war where no one backs down, everyone loses.